What's up, basketball fans? Welcome to the Warriors Report. It's time to talk about the Toronto Raptors because I stumbled upon an ESPN YouTube video I was watching where CJ McCollum was discussing the Toronto Raptors and some of their struggles. Now, there's quite a few things he said about the Raptors which may indicate not only what they may do at the NBA trade deadline, he may have hinted at a few players that the Raptors may look to move at the NBA trade deadline. So I'm going to be breaking all of that stuff for you guys in today's video. So if you're ready to watch, make sure to hit the subscribe button. If you want to hit the like button as well, that would be very much appreciated. So with that being said, let's get into today's video. Now, as you guys know, I do like to give out shout outs on my channel, and the shout out for today's video goes out to Dark Knight. So Dark Knight, thank you so much for supporting this channel to your likes and comments. It is very much appreciated. Now, I'll let this clip play for you guys. I've narrowed it down to a few of the things that he said that really caught my eye. For those who wish to watch the entire video, I'll link it down in the comment section below. But let's watch this video and I'll break it down for you guys.
Something's going to happen. I don't know what. There's rumblings about certain players on the team not being happy and due to tampering. I can't speak to that, but I think they're gonna move someone at some point. I don't know what type of picks they have lined up, but something needs to change because they're way too talented to be struggling the way they've been struggling throughout the season. They got some probably have larger roles depending on who they decided to move. And I think they're going to figure out a way to improve. They're going to figure out a way to tinker with the roster a little bit.
Now, there are quite a few things CJ McCollum stated there that really caught my eye. The first thing he stated with the Raptors and their struggles was he said there's some rumblings about some players not being happy with their role. Now, the first player that really comes to mind when you talk about Toronto Raptors players that may not be excited about the role they've been giving this season is Fred VanVleet. Now, you may be questioning why Fred, because if you have seen JJ Redick's podcast on YouTube, he actually went on there to state that some of the reasons he has been struggling this season is because of his role change. He stated that this season, as compared to last season, he's playing a little bit more off ball. He's also expected to, he's not really involved with offense as much as he was last year. He blamed the struggles on that. So that's a clear indication that Fred may not be happy with his role. But I'm actually going to go in a different direction here. Obviously, you could talk about Gary Trent Jr., given all the rumors a few weeks ago and even last week, where there are a lot of indications that Gary Trent Jr. is undeniably available. But there's one player I'm going to be discussing which may shock a lot of you guys. And this player is OG Anunoby. Now, you may be questioning why OG Anunoby? He doesn't seem like he's unhappy with the Raptors, but there are a few indications that may seem to go this way. Now, I will go back to the summer where there were reports that OG Anunoby was reportedly unhappy with the Toronto Raptors. And although he came out months later and denied those reports, there's also something that came out yesterday, which was a huge indication as to what this could be doing with what the Raptors would be doing with OG Anunoby. Now, there were some reports by Vegas yesterday stating that the Raptor most likely to be traded is OG Anunoby. Now, you have to question, why would the Raptors want to move a 25-year-old who's on a very good contract, who's been one of the best defenders in the NBA this season? It's also developing his offense game to next levels. Why would a player like that, who's very good on defense, that's switchable, which is literally what the Raptors want, why would the Raptors look to trade him? Again, there are some rumors. I don't want to say those rumors are true, but there are some rumors that the Raptors were close to dealing him to the Portland Trail Blazers this summer, where they wanted a 7th pick, and they also wanted a future first pick, as well as Josh Hart and another role player, which the Portland Trail Blazers declined. I'm very thankful for that. But it really makes you wonder, why would the Raptors want to shop a player like OG Anunoby? Now, to fully understand this, I'm going to go from day one, especially for you guys that are watching that may not be Raptors fans. Now, to understand why OG may be unhappy with the Toronto Raptors, you have to realize he came into the NBA not known for his offense. He was always a good defensive player, but what the Raptors essentially did with his first 2 to 3 seasons in the NBA is pretty much just have him become a three-point shooter. When we drafted him, we did have Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan on the Raptor squad. And essentially what OG Anunoby would do is just stand in the corner, and he was just expected to hit the threes that would be passed to him. And again, fast forward several seasons, it hasn't really increased much in terms of OG Anunoby and where his production should be. Now, obviously, this season, he's doing a lot better of creating shots for himself. But overall, when you look at OG Anunoby, there are a few indications of this. When DeMar was traded, there's Kawhi Leonard there, and he really got pushed back into that bench role because Danny Green was the starting shooting guard for the Raptors as well. And then the following season, when Danny Green and Kawhi Leonard both left, there were a few guys that really took that role. Again, there was Norman Powell that really stepped up. And once the Raptors went into that Tampa season, Norman Powell was traded. But then the Raptors acquired Gary Trent Jr., who we know likes to throw up a lot of shots. So OG Anunoby, a young player on the Raptors, is really hoping to finally go from being that fifth and fourth option to becoming the second and third option. Never really got that opportunity. Once Gary Trent Jr. was there, he became like the third or fourth option. And when Kyle Lowry was finally traded from the Toronto Raptors, I shouldn't say finally because I wish the Raptors still had him, but when he was traded from the Raptors, this was the chance that OG Anunoby has finally been waiting for. With Pascal being the leading go-to guy for the Raptors, this felt like OG Anunoby's moment. Finally, he's going to be the second and third option. But what do you get instead? The Raptors drafted Scottie Barnes. Now, I wouldn't say I'm upset with that, but you can see from OG Anunoby's point of view when you think about it. Scottie Barnes is there, and then Fred VanVleet took a lot more shots when Kyle Lowry left. And all of a sudden, OG Anunoby's offensive role going from the fourth and fifth option really has not increased. Although OG Anunoby does definitely need to be a little bit more assertive, you really have to wonder, like OG Anunoby, how much patience can a young player have? Even though he's a great human being, he's a great player. A lot of NBA players have said a lot of good things about him. You really have to wonder, is OG Anunoby's patient running out with the Raptors? Again, this is just pure speculation, guys. But I'm stating this because most young players want to grow their role offensively on an NBA team, and it doesn't really seem like OG Anunoby has increased his role that much. Again, there's still Gary Trent Jr., there's still Fred VanVleet, who on most nights are taking way more shots than OG Anunoby. And of course, Scottie Barnes is that player who's definitely, a big part of Raptors offense as well. And this kind of leaves OG Anunoby kind of just as the third, fourth, fifth options on most nights. So maybe there's something going on behind the scenes that we're not hearing. You have to remember, the Raptors are an organization that conceal every information and do not leak. So you really have to wonder, maybe there's something going on behind the scenes which we're not seeing. There'd be no reason for the Raptors to be shopping OG Anunoby, and there would be no reason for Vegas odds to have OG Anunoby of all players most likely to be traded from the Raptors. So it really makes you question, what are the Raptors going to do? Now, I do want to get to a few other things that CJ McCollum said in that video as well. Now, he did go on to state that the Raptors will definitely look to improve their roster, but he also said they're going to change a few things up, which may increase the roles of some of the guys they presently have. So it really makes you wonder. I think for me personally, if you ask me, obviously, I've always stated this. I think Gary Trent Jr. is the most likely to be traded from the Raptors. I just don't see him like the Raptors are invested in him long term, even though he has been playing lights out. And then the second player I'm really thinking is Fred VanVleet, but I'd be absolutely heartbroken if it's OG Anunoby. But it really gives you an insight as to what's going on with the Raptors. Not only are a few players or one player in particular may not be happy with their role on the Raptors, it obviously is affecting them. They're a very talented team, and normally, and again, I'll clip the entire video for you guys when you guys do want to watch in the comment section. But CJ McCollum talked about this. He said normally NBA players, especially given the way the Raptors' age is as well, like all of these guys are either in their prime. They're OG Anunoby's 25, or you got Scottie Barnes who's just entered the league. Players like this normally don't struggle, especially how well the Raptors played last season. So clearly the Raptors have some locker room issues, and they're going to have to fix it sooner rather than later. And do not be surprised if the Raptors make some moves well before the NBA trade deadline. Chris Boucher, who was rumored to be one of the players that will be included in any blockbuster deal the Raptors will make, he's very likely, again, it's very likely the Raptors package one of Fred or Gary Trent Jr. and throw in Chris Boucher to acquire a really good center or a much better player. So don't be surprised if the Raptors make moves much before the NBA trade deadline. Again, I say this because Chris Boucher will be eligible to be traded January 15th, which is a few days away. Those are for, that's the date for when players will re-sign this offseason and they'll be trade eligible. So don't be surprised if the Raptors make moves early rather than later, because this is a seller's market at the moment. The Utah Jazz and the Timberwolves trade really set the bar extremely high for a lot of teams that may be selling. So again, obviously there's a few teams like the Pistons and the Magic that may be selling a few players, but outside of that, the Eastern Conference is still wide open. The Western Conference is wide open as well. So there are not going to be a lot of teams that may be selling. And I think the Raptors will make a move sooner rather than later. Of course, it depends on how their season is going on as well, but we'll see what happens. But I found this clip to be very interesting because there's quite a few things he said there, CJ McCollum. Again, I do want to mention, guys, there's a difference before people say NBA players do this all the time, where they go on podcasts and they discuss things. There's a difference between a retired NBA player doing this and a current NBA player doing this. Obviously, NBA players talk to each other, and there's a reason why CJ McCollum got that information. I think he's really close. He has a really close relationship with Fred VanVleet. I believe he's gone on to state that a few times. He's a hard worker. He's talked a lot of good things about Fred VanVleet. So obviously, NBA players talk. You hear this information. So it really makes you question what's going on in the Raptors locker room. Who will they trade? It'll be very interesting to see what happens. But I want to hear your thoughts on this. What are your thoughts on this? Is there something that's going on with what CJ McCollum has stated here? Am I just assuming things? I do want to hear your thoughts. So make sure to leave your thoughts in the comment section below. And as always, I do have a trivia question for you today. And that trivia question is, which player leads the Raptors in free throw percentage this season? Again, minimum 10 games played. Is it A, Malachi Flynn? Is it B, Jeff Doughton? Is it C, Fred VanVleet? Or is it D, Gary Trent Jr.? So whoever answers this trivia question correctly first in the comment section gets a shout out in my next video. So that will be it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you guys are still watching, if you want to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, that'd be awesome as well. I do appreciate your support, and I wish you guys have yourselves a great day.